There we go.
Okay, and I'm going to share my screen here. Okay, so I wanted to welcome you to this masterclass. It is Intuition is Your SuperPower, and I'm super excited to welcome you all to this. Um, so let's just start. What is intuition? Like, what is intuition? And as you're contemplating that, just really feeling it, asking the question and seeing what answers comes to you. What is intuition? And I believe that our lack of our connection to our intuition is the one thing that's holding us back. It's holding us back in business. It's holding us back in life. It's just preventing us from completely following our intuitive guidance, which I believe is our soul speaking to us. Our intuition is our soul speaking to us. So welcome to Your Intuition Is Your SuperPower. We're going to dive in tonight in this masterclass, the following framework so that you'll be able to use your intuition as your superpower. So the first thing we're going to be diving into is your intuition. And I believe that we are always getting intuitive hits all of the time, and they show up in our body. Physically, there's no separation between body, mind, spirit. So how are your intuitive hits landing in your body? And every time you get an intuitive hit, there is going to be a physical reaction. And then worth. When you can, we need to be able to trust our intuition, and our mindset is huge. 70% of business is mindset, right? 70% of life basically is mindset, and living coming from a powerful state of being. Resistance always shows up as soon as we start to follow our intuition. And so how do we stay connected to our intuitive hits as we move through resistance, and finding the courage to do that by following our intuition? And then the last one that we're going to be touching on tonight is business strategies and clear steps to grow our business, navigating the energies around heart-centered intuitive businesses. All right, so I want to begin with a meditation. I have a very, very strong meditation practice. I started meditating when I was 13 years old. My parents were hardworking, self-employed parents of 3 teenagers. So basically, they were extremely stressed out. And so my mom was learning and trying to figure out how to cope with the stress of it all. And so she went to the doctor, and the doctor prescribed Valium. And my mom was like, I can't take Valium and run a business and a household and look after kids, and there's no way. So at the time, it was in the 70s. And so she found the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was talking on Johnny Carson about transcendental meditation. So she looked it up, and in Calgary, they were teaching transcendental meditation. So they took our entire family to learn how to meditate. And so I started my meditation practice at 13. Yeah, it's a pretty amazing story. And my dad was 100% behind it, because they wanted a successful business and they had to figure out how to do it. And so, and my dad, both my parents were spiritual, not so much religious as spiritual. And so started the meditation practice. It's been a negotiable part of my life ever since. And so let's start with a grounding meditation to bring us into this place and help us to stay connected or get connected to our intuition. So sitting up nice and tall, just closing your eyes. And let's begin by taking a nice deep breath. Inhale through the nose and exhale out through the mouth. Uncrossing your legs and just dropping into your body, like just really imagining yourself hovering above your head. And then with each exhalation, sinking into your body. And as you're landing in the body, feeling the sensations that you feel. Connecting first to your legs, your hips, your back, your shoulders. And with each exhalation, relaxing your body, And sinking deeper and deeper into the connection to the earth. And imagine the energy growing down from your root chakra, down through your legs, through your feet, through the earth's crust, all the way down into the center of the earth. And imagine tying a golden nugget to the end of that string of energy. And as I said, it's a string, so it's still swaying and moving to your own rhythm. Now draw the earth's energy, Gaia's energy, up through that string of energy, up through your legs, all the way up through each chakra, through the root chakra, the sacral, your solar plexus, your heart chakra, your throat, your third eye and crown. And that string of energy is going all the way up into the heavens. Connecting to the ether, to space. And then now bringing your awareness down that string of energy and just pausing at the heart chakra. And then from this place, this heart chakra, just breathing in and exhaling out positive, loving energy. Bringing it in and breathing it out. Taking this opportunity now to call in your guides, your angels, the spirit of your own understanding to guide you through this process. Bringing your awareness now to your third eye, Ajna chakra, and connecting here to your intuition. Your inner knowing. That inner guidance that is always there with you, guiding you on every step along your path. And as you're connecting to your inner knowing, your intuition, knowing that through meditation and through asking questions are two of the best ways to connect to your inner guidance. So take this moment now. Is there a question that you've been wanting to ask? So asking your guides, asking your inner self, whatever question there is for you right now. Is there any clarity that you're wanting? Any insight? And asking your question in a powerful way. And then pausing for the answer. Keeping your eyes soft, your jaw relaxed. Whether you got an answer or not, just taking this time now to thank your guides, thank your inner knowing. And even if you didn't get an answer, knowing that when it's time, the answer will be there. Trusting that you are always guided and that everything is happening in your life for your own spiritual growth. Just taking one more breath. And then when you're ready, just slowly opening your eyes. So the first question is, are you intuitive? So I believe our intuition is just another one of our senses, the same as touch, taste, sight, sound, smell. We have intuition. But like all of our senses, they can be more developed or less developed. So, like our sense of taste can be more developed. A chef can put together ingredients and they know which ingredients go together. They can put spices in there, and so that it can taste good, and they know which combinations to do, and they can taste food and they can pick out all the different ingredients. The same as a musician can hear musical song, like can hear songs and they know what instruments are playing, and they can hear, when people's voices are in tune or not. So I believe those senses are more developed because I don't have those abilities. And just like all of the senses, our intuition can get more developed. And so, how do we develop our intuition? How do we keep maintaining it? How do we keep growing it? Right. And so one of the best ways for growing our intuition is to connect to the physical aspects of it. And when we can connect to our intuition, like I said, I believe our intuition is our soul speaking to us. And so when we are really strongly connected to our intuition, we're more able to make decisions easier. We trust our decisions. We get clear on the decisions or clear on the next steps to take. We know our worth. As I said, we know the next steps to take, and it builds our confidence, right? So, so often we look outside of ourselves for the answers, right? We phone a friend, we talk to other people, we look outside of ourselves, we do pro and con lists, and we're not going inside to find the answers within ourselves. And one of the things that I found over the years of following my intuition is that when people really aren't sure about why I'm doing what I'm doing, when they're really questioning me, that's when I know I'm following my intuitive guidance. So it's almost like there's this validation that people are questioning me and question why I'm doing what I'm doing because they don't understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. Then it's kind of validation for me to go, oh, they don't understand because I'm following my intuition and I don't have the bigger picture. And sometimes I don't understand it, right? Like I don't know why we do some of the things we've done, or, my husband and I in our marriage even, and made some of the decisions that we have done. And we don't know until we get along the path. As we, when we look back, we can see, oh, I've been intuitively guided from here to here. Right. And our intuition is sometimes really big things, and sometimes it's not, it's smaller things. But we always have a physical reaction to our intuition. And so our intuition shows up in many different ways. We get, we get goosebumps. When I get messages in my throat, or when I get messages from spirits, I get like kind of a gunk in my throat or like a frog in my throat. So this is one of the best ways for us to connect to our intuition, is to recognize that there's always a physical sensation whenever we get an intuitive hit. Always, always, always. So how's your intuition guiding your vision? How is your intuition guiding you on everything that you're doing? As I said, there's always going to be a physical sensation. So I started saying a gut feeling, goosebumps, butterflies in our stomach, itchy nose. I get a lot of itchiness. So I get itchy ears, itchy nose. I get, my third eye starts to get itchy. The crown of my head starts to get itchy. Some people get flutters in their chest. I hear messages. I'll sometimes hear that somebody calls me and I turn around and look, right? How many of you get that? Sometimes I'll see movement out of the corner of my eyes, and I know that there's some sort of energies there. Lights flickering. Um, we get signs in so many other different ways. They're not just messages, intuitive, like our intuition, but also we're getting signs from the other side all the time as well, right? We find feathers, we find dimes, we see repetitive numbers. Yeah, light flickers, songs, certain songs are playing on the radio at this certain time that are really pertinent to what is going on for us. So, as I said, I believe everyone has an intuition. It's just another one of our senses, and they can get more developed and more effective. So, how does your intuition show up physically? So, I want you to put in the comments when you get an intuitive hit. What are the sensations that you get in your body? Sorry, I'm just gonna turn off the notifications here. So, So if you just put in the chat, here we go. Here's the chat. So if you just put in the chat, how do you feel the sensations? So Amelia said tingles, pleasant body chills. Nella said gut feelings usually, just a knowing. Yeah, like it and somebody said to me one time that it's like, she goes, it's just a thought I get in my head. And I'm like, yeah. And she goes, well, I feel like sometimes I'm making it up. And I said, well, I think intuitively we know there's a difference feeling, right? Like it's that gut knowing. It's like you said, it's just a knowing, right? Or Jillian said it's a gut knowing. It's just this, it feels different than when you're just thinking it, right? Or when you're just making it up in your head, right? And our mind, like we're going to be going into mindset tonight, and our mindset is really important. It's an important part of us staying connected to our intuition is our mindset. And worth, when we can stay connected to our worth, when we can stay connected to our intuition, then we're going to tap into our worth and our worthiness. Like I believe that so many of us for so long, we're not following our intuition. Whenever we start to get intuitive hits, when we start to act on our intuition, we start to talk about it. I touched on the chakras, right? And we usually run our decisions through the chakras, right? So an example might be, I like to use a horse as an example. I don't even know why I don't even ride horses, but say you get the intuitive hit. I'm going to learn how to ride horses, right? So it came through spirit. Maybe you have the, maybe horses are your spirit animal, and even though you've never ridden them before, it's part. It comes from spirit. So you get the intuitive hit. I'm going to learn to ride horses, and then we zip it down to the root chakra. That's scary, or so we go into fear. But maybe it's how expensive is it going to be? What is my family going to think? Then we go up to the heart chakra. Oh my God, I absolutely love horses. Like horses are so inspiring and so empowering for me. And then we go to the second chakra, and we go into the feelings and the emotions that, I can just feel like the wind blowing through my hair and being one with the animal. And then you go to the third chakra, and again, the fear might come up, and what if I get thrown off a horse, and what will happen? And then it comes out of your mouth. Right? And we start to speak about it. And you start to tell people, I'm going to start riding horses. And then as the words are coming out of your mouth, you go, well, that's a stupid idea. I've never even owned a horse. I've never even ridden a horse before. Or we go back through the root chakra, like, where am I going to find a horse, and where am I going to stable it, and where am I, who's going to look after it, and all of that, right? How much money is it going to cost for all of that? And so we keep whipping through the chakras. So yes, society holds us back from following our intuition. There's no doubt. The people we're around, our society and our outside influences does influence our intuition. And I believe we've been taught not to follow our intuition, right? As young children, we get intuition all the time, and it doesn't make sense to our family, our parents, so they shut it down. So yes to all of that, but we also second guess our intuition. When we get our intuitive hits, we go, I don't know if that's the right decision. Like Amelia talking about moving to Kelowna, right, from Edmonton, and it's like I would imagine that was an intuitive hit, but there was probably a lot of resistance that showed up around it, right? The same with us. We moved We were in our forever home. We lived on an acreage in Grand Prairie. We sold our place. It wasn't for sale. And because we got the intuitive hit that it was time for us to move. And so we moved to Edmonton, not knowing why, right? Still not sure why, you know? And so, but when we can follow our intuition and we start to value it, then we can see the worth in it, that we don't get stuck, right? We all know people who are stuck in jobs and marriages and relationships and situations that you can see aren't good for them. They're unhappy. They're in a state of suffering all the time. And yet they don't take the risk to follow their intuition and because they don't value it and see the worthiness of it. So who here, put in the chat, who here knows that you're here for greatness, that you're here for something more? I'm just going to pause and take a sip of water while you put in the chat. Heck yes, absolutely know that. Yes, yes, yes. And someone else is just jumping in. And it's true, 100%. 100%. I've done this workshop. I've been teaching workshops for years and years. Nelda said she heard me speak at a workshop. I don't know what we decide 3 or 4 years ago, right? And I ask this question all the time: who here knows that they're here for something more? And 100% of the time, everybody puts up their hand that they know they're here for something more. And it's by tapping into and connecting to our intuition that we're going to be able to follow what our intuition is telling us, which is what I believe is our soul asking us to do. And it's our ego that wants to keep us safe and keep us in the same place. So, we've been told to play small, to allow our ego to shut us down. As I said, I believe our ego is, it wants to keep us safe, right? It wants to keep us in the same place. And it's our soul that wants us to really get out there and to show up big in the world. And then our ego goes, that's too scary, and wants to close us down and to keep us playing small. Limiting beliefs. And we're going to go into the mindset a little bit, a few more slides. We're going to dive into this even more. So what are some of the limiting beliefs that hold you back on a daily basis? I'm not good enough. I don't have enough. I don't have enough education. I don't have enough resources. I don't have enough money, training, experience to be the expert. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm, like all of these things. It just keeps coming back to not being enough. Who do I think I am? This is one of the ones that plagued me every time I started to get it, grow and go a little bit more out there into the world, right? Every time I did that, it was always like, who do you think you are? I don't know if you know this, but I in 2012, I was following an intuitive hit, and I knew I was here to help women and to be of service. And my background is I have a degree in social work, and then I became a yoga therapist, and then I became a chakra therapist. And I spent decades marrying together talk therapy with body, mind, spirit. And I had a yoga studio for 17 years, as well as I had been doing intuitive coaching. I did chakra balancing before that. I've been doing intuitive coaching for 7 years. And so I got the intuitive hit to, I was a senior leader with Off the Mat Into the World, and they were doing a global Seva challenge. Global meaning that they choose a country and a cause. Seva, they chose a cause to be of service. And the challenge was to raise $20,000 for victims of sex trafficking in India. And I knew intuitively that I was supposed to do that. And so that was my first thought, right? I need to do this. My second thought was, who do you think you are? Right? Like, who did I think I am? I'm not a fundraiser. I have a yoga studio. How is it going to affect my business? How is it, I'm a mother of 3. How is it going to affect my family? How would I raise that $20,000? I had absolutely no idea. And so I was actually sitting on the hockey bench talking to one of the other hockey moms. And I said to her, I just don't want to be on my deathbed and wish that I had at least tried to raise that money for those girls. Like, it doesn't matter if I succeeded or not. It just would be anything I could do would be supportive. And so that when I heard those words coming out of my mouth, I signed up immediately right after that. Like I knew that was the message I needed to sign up. But this is something that plagues us. Like all of these different things keeps us playing small, right? Like I could have stayed, I could have not done it, right? I could have not even tried. And as a result, I raised the money in 8 months, 9 months, and collectively, um, there was people all over the world who were raising the money. Collectively, we raised over $1 million, $1.5 million, or $1.3 million, sorry. And so as a result of raising that 20,000, I got to go to India to see the organizations where the money was going. So just before I was leaving to go to India, or I was getting ready to go, I got the intuitive hit to sell my studio. And again, I'd been running this studio for 17 years. It was successful. I had an office to see clients in. I could do my workshops and trainings there. I didn't know why. Had no idea why I was getting the intuitive hit to sell it. And so I just made the decision. I was actually going to close it. So I called the my landlord, and funnily enough, I hadn't signed the lease that year. I had given her the 12 months of checks. I'd been renting the space for years. I gave her the 12 posted checks for the year. And every time I saw her, she goes, "Oh, I got to get that contract to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." And it was 6 months later. Like, I think it was September I was supposed to sign it. And now it was January. And so I called her up and I said, because I didn't sign the contract, does that mean it goes month to month? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, I'm going to give you 7 months notice. And she said, well, we'll give you a free month's rent. And it's like, so, here's the intuitive hit. So I'm like walking along towards the intuitive hit. So this is what I'm committed to. I'm walking along towards that. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, how badly do you want to fulfill your soul? How badly do you want to keep moving towards your vision, towards following your intuitive guidance, towards living on purpose, right? And it's resistance. And resistance doesn't always look like a bad thing, right? A free month's rent. Everybody was wondering, even my husband was saying, what are you doing? You're only going to India for like 5 weeks, right? Like, why are you selling in this space or getting rid of your space? And so I got off the phone and I had to check in with my body again. I had to ask, so I said out loud, I'm going to keep the studio. And my gut said no, right? Like, I can't remember who said, Jillian said, a gut knowing. So it was this gut instinct that said, no, don't do it. And then I said, I'm going to sell the studio. And it was like a yes. It was like this lightness in me. And so I did. And so I actually sold it. So what I did is I emailed everybody who had rented space for me. And so the person who rented the space, the least amount of time, she rented it one evening every second month. She said, I'm going to take it over. And so 2 days before I left to go to India, handed over the keys. And so what did it do, right? So I went to India. So I did the Save a Challenge. It was life-changing. It was horrifying. It felt really impactful. But what it did is that I came home, and then after I did the tour with the Save a Challenge, and then I did a spiritual pilgrimage afterwards. And then what it did is I came home and I went through a period of healing and a huge spiritual shift, huge, massive spiritual shift. And then it opened up time and space for me. And so what I did is I came home and I would go between hopelessness and anger. And I would give myself half an hour of each. So I would cry and I would be pissed off. And I would cry and I'd be pissed off. And I got half an hour a day of each, right? And then it was like, then I had to carry on with life. But what it did is it opened up for me to create my deck of oracle cards, right? Because I had already been putting energy into my oracle cards. I was a yoga, like I said, I'm a yoga therapist, a chakra therapist. And as I taught yoga, I would get intuitive hits as to what the yoga postures meant on a spiritual level. So I had this time and I was very much into living into the present moment. It brought me right here, right? Like Eckhart Tolle says, if you ever want to come into the present moment, you just put your hands right like this. and then step into it, right? Like you're right here, right now. And so I was very much in the present. And so I dug up my deck of oracle cards and I started writing my deck of oracle cards. I think most of you have seen them before. They're all based in yoga philosophies and ideas, as well as not just yoga postures, but all of yoga ideas and philosophies. And then as I was writing the deck of cards, I knew I had the book, right? And so I wrote my book, and it's similar where each chapter starts with the image, the divinatory part about what the image means, and then how to bring it into our everyday life. And so, if we're not following our intuitive guidance, we can get so lost in these limiting beliefs that hold us back. We get lost in confusion. I hear this all the time. I have an intuitive coaching academy teaching people to become intuitive coaches. And I get this all the time. I don't know what to call myself. I don't know what to call my business, right? And this is why I designed this training, is to bring it, bring all your past trainings, bring it under one umbrella, and let's get started with intuitive coaching, the business training part of it, as well as the coaching to become an intuitive coach. So just taking this moment here to connect to any of this. Can any of you relate to this? Putting pressure on ourselves, fear of not fully living our purpose. This is another one that even after I got my book and cards out, I have this fear that I'm not going to really live my full potential in this lifetime. And, I don't want my soul to be unhappy with me, right? I don't want to miss opportunities. So as you move into powerful feminine, masculine energy, is there a part of you that knows that you're here to offer more? You already answered that. And an intuition that there is supposed to be something more. So I believe that we've been gaslighted, right? To believe that everything's good enough, right? Like we're living in a very patriarchal society. And so if we can move more, as we're moving more into the feminine energy, I believe that most of us women feel like there's something more out there, right? That there's something more. And so I'm just going to come back to this. So is there any limiting beliefs? So as I touched on those ones last time, what are some of the limiting beliefs that you have that are preventing you from really following your intuitive guidance? Like I said, I'm supposed to be content with what I have. I shouldn't want more, do more, or show who I really am. And these are some of the limiting beliefs that I feel are more designed for women. I don't know if any of you have read Glennon Doyle's new book, and she talks about the cheetah, how just say yes if you have. The cheetah, where they were at a park and they raised this cheetah from birth, and it's friends with a golden retriever, and they domesticated this cheetah. And so they bring people in to see this show. And so they have this bunny on the back of this truck, and they bring the golden retriever out, and the golden retriever follows, or like runs after the bunny, and then it doesn't catch it because it's on the back of the truck, and so it gets a treat. And so then the cheetah does the same thing. They bring the cheetah out, and the cheetah runs after the bunny, and then it gets a chunk of meat. But then what Glennon Doyle talks about, that then they put the cheetah back into the cage. And as they were watching the show and hearing this talk about domesticating this cheetah, the daughter says, "Look, mommy, look how the cheetah's changed." And once she goes back into the cage, she starts to go around the border, right? And she looks really powerful and almost scary. Right. And I feel like a lot of us as women, we feel this, right? Not that we're scary, but there is that part of us, right? That some of us, we do feel a little bit angry that we're told that we're supposed to be happy with everything the way it is, and that we should be satisfied, right? And this is one of the things that happened when I was in India, is that I expected the girls that had been rescued from the red light district, I expected them to be oppressed, right? I expected to see that. What I saw was half the population of a 2 billion population country was oppressed. So all the women were still there was still that oppression, right? They didn't drive cars. They sat on the back of the motorcycle, side saddle. They were always in groups. They weren't working in the jobs. It was always the men that were working in the jobs, right? There was still that oppression. But what happened is when I came home, I started to see it in my own household. I started to see it in my own community. And it was like, okay, here, we're here, right? Here's the masculine energy, here's the feminine, and we're getting closer. And we feel like, well, we're better than they are, but we're still not there, right? There's still not that equality. We're still not feeling that. We're told we're supposed to be happy with the way things are, but we're not really feeling it, right? And this is what I feel is happening even with the whole, what's happening in the whole world, right? Is there's so much change that's happening, and it's needed. It's needed. Alrighty, so we're always in either two states of being. We're always in a powerful state of being, or we're in a suffering state of being. All right, so I just want you to take a moment to let that sink in. So if we're only ever in two states of being, we're always in a powerful state of being, or we're in a suffering state of being. And the thing is that we can't be in both at the same time. That we can't be in a powerful state of being and a suffering state of being at the same time. It's not possible. We're either in one or the other. So how much time, a day, a week, a month, are you in a suffering state of being? So this might be a new concept. So just taking a moment, like how much, I always check in right now, like now, every time I wake or every morning when I wake up, the first thing I think about, then I check in, is that a powerful state of being, or is that a suffering state of being? Am I like, fuck, this day's gonna suck? Or am I like, yay, this day is awesome, I'm so excited? And it doesn't have to be that extreme, right? Like you can be in a powerful state or a suffering state that isn't that extreme, right? Like we're not talking spiritually bypassing at all. We're talking about checking in. Am I checking in and going, oh, I didn't get enough sleep last night? We're in suffering. Or, okay, I feel pretty good this morning. Or, just from the light in the room, oh, it's sunny today, or it's not. Like just even checking in. So just putting in the chat. Okay, so Nelda says, I have them and use them nearly every day. Oh, the cards and the book. Awesome, thank you. More than I want to. It just happens sometimes without reason. Exactly, because we have 60,000 thoughts a day, you guys, and we can't check them all the time. Right? And so when we're talking limiting beliefs, we can't check all of our thoughts that are going through our head all day long, right? Like we don't want to be there like this little, I don't know what to call it, like this little, police officer, right? In our brain checking, oh, that's a limiting belief. That's a limiting belief, right? So the best way to check in is just by checking in. Is it a powerful state, or am I in suffering, right? Is it a primal state or an empowering state, right? Amelia said, I honestly don't know, but we'll definitely be more aware of this going forward. Exactly. Because, affirmations are great. I use them all the time. I have them pinned to my vision board. I have them in my bathroom. I'm one of those people that are I want to be in that powerful state of being as much as possible. But like I said, we can't have these little policemen in our brains going, oh, limiting belief, switch that. So as a result, this is one way of just tapping into it quicker. And then moving into this feminine, masculine energy. So again, I feel like we've been gaslighted into believing that if we do it in a masculine energy, it's more valuable, right? So even our wellness practices, as an intuitive coach, and I talk feminine energy, ideally we want to have it fairly balanced. So, as women majoring in the feminine energy with a minor in the masculine, men majoring in the masculine, minor in the feminine, depending on, who we are, right? And how we want to live. And so for myself, I like to be more in the feminine energy, but I do need my masculine energy to get shit done, right? I like the creative. I like to move with inspired action. I like to have this feminine energy. But especially as an intuitive coach, we have been told, I see this with my clients all the time. And like I said, I talk feminine energy with my clients and students all the time, but we're still it's so ingrained in us to do our practices in that masculine energy, right? That the second I want to get in better shape. It's like we go to the masculine energy. We're gonna boot camp ourselves into stuff, right? Even our spirituality, we boot camp ourselves into spirituality, and so bringing it into that feminine energy. So our mindset is huge. 70% of business is mindset. And so having our intuition and being able to trust it. How do you trust your inner wisdom? Right? Like how do we keep coming back to our guides and our inner and that intuitive guidance and staying there and moving through the limiting beliefs into following our intuition. And I say no more playing small, no more holding ourselves back, no more you know, never feeling like we're good enough, putting pressure on ourselves, comparing ourselves to others, um, pushing ourselves to do our heart-centered businesses in unhealthy energy, right? Like as an intuitive coach, I want people to build their businesses. I want their businesses to succeed. And this is what my focus has been. It was probably about last November, and I started to feel this urgency. Like I said, I've been teaching yoga teachers. I've been teaching people how to do chakra balancing. I've done workshops and been teaching this for 15, 20 years. But I started feeling an urgency that there's so many smart, talented, intuitive energy healers, women who are, forefront leaders in the world, and they weren't stepping in to make the impact and make the income either that they desired, right? They were holding themselves back, they're playing small. And so that's when I knew that I needed to start dedicating myself to this. So instead of seeing as many clients, I started teaching women how to become intuitive coaches. Like I said, bringing all of your past trainings, let's bring it all together, put it under one umbrella, and then get the business coaching with at the same time. I had somebody just last night, I got into bed and I had a message from one of the students, and she said, I have been taking training for over 5 years, and she's never made a dime on her training until now. And on the weekend, she did a course and she made $700. And she said it's just a start. Like she knew, it just feels like it's just that start, right? Because it's doing a disservice to the world as healers and having our businesses and not getting out there and helping the clients. And so my idea, my philosophy or my training is about your clients are there ready for you. You just need to tell them that you're ready to see them, right? Like you have clients waiting for them and for you. And so I keep telling my coaches and my people that are going through the coaching that you have the clients and they're just waiting there for you. So, but doing this in the feminine energy so that we're not burning ourselves out. I told you I was a social worker and I got burned out as a social worker, and it's like, no more. We don't want to go into overwhelm. We don't want to go into it. And just really recognizing that you are enough, that we always feel like we need to do more. We need to take more training. We need to do more to get ourselves ready and prepared, but we are ready. Like, again, as I tell my students is that you're ready for the right client. The right client is going to come to you. And our wellness practices are hugely important to us, right? I don't believe that we can do this work. We can't put ourselves out there as energy healers and be as intuitives unless we look after ourselves, and our wellness needs to be a priority. So for me, that is one of my affirmations. I prioritize my energy. And so through exercise, breathing, diet, rest, meditation, manifesting, spiritual connection, affirmations, and coaching, all of the practices that I like to bring into my daily practice. But again, doing this in the feminine energy, we do not want to put more pressure on anybody to meditate, right? I've been meditating since I was 13. I've been a vegetarian since I was 16. I've been doing yoga teaching yoga for 24 years. So they're there, but I follow the intuitive guidance. I have the strong practices, but I'm not going to push myself into overwhelm, into pressuring myself. All right, I'm just going to pause there. Anybody have any questions? Anything they want to add or share before we carry on? I feel like I've just been talking so much so fast. Okay, so Amelia said, I think that's the key though being aware of it. That's the key. Okay, I'm not sure what the key is. Is it the masculine, feminine energy to do it in that feminine energy? Amelia said before, I honestly don't know, but we'll definitely be more aware. Okay.
I think it just really resonates with me, the stop making yourself small. Literally today, I was having a work call and somebody was trying to say that I was doing a great job. And I kept trying to say, oh, well, it's probably this or it's probably this. And they're like, no, 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 it's just you. And I'm like, oh, I'm enough. Okay.
Yes. And being able to receive, because we give, and it's that ability to receive, right? To receive the compliment. And the other thing about that too, Amelia, is that when we're good at stuff, they're part of our gift, right? And so because we're good at it, it comes easy to us. We think it comes as easy to everybody else. And so it's finding that value in it and recognizing that it's not as easy for everybody else. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So then it's like, one time I was, one of my clients was a really talented artist, and she was getting all these commissions to do all these, she was doing murals on buildings, and then from that, she was getting all these commissions, and she's like, I don't get it. Anybody could do what I do. Like my art is so simple, and I don't really get why people are paying me so much. And I'm like, oh my God, right? Like you need to and I worked with her, like valuing it, that, because it was her gift, it came so simple to her. And so she thought anybody could do it, where we know, right? We can't do it, or I couldn't do it. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so this is where an intuitive coach comes into play. And I always have had a coach. Right now I have 3 coaches right now. I have a prosperity coach. I have my regular coach that I have had for 4 years. And then I have, I'm in a coaching program, or a business training program. And so I believe the key to an intuitive coach is to help us to move through our fear, and so that we can find our courage to follow our intuition, because our intuition is going to take us out of our comfort zone. And so that's why our practices are so important. Making sure that we meditate, get proper sleep, all of those things, eat, stay keeping ourselves in a healthy way so that we can really show up in the world. Our intuition is asking us to really show up and to be of service and to do what we're here to do what our purpose is. When you have a strong intuition, you'll be able to make decisions easier. You'll have clarity of vision. Most of my clients, they come to me because they're wanting clarity. And when we can tap into our intuition, we get the messages, we get the clarity. And then it's finding the courage to move through it. Recognizing our worth, as you just talked about, Amelia, like just finding that. Knowing your next steps, getting validation, and building confidence with grace and ease. Oh, Tiff said she didn't know I was a vegetarian. I do think it makes a difference in our state of mind and our bodies and our soul. It's great for the whole world and the environment. Yeah, I'm leaning a little bit more towards veganism because my daughter's living with us now, and she is a vegan. I've always been vegetarian since I was 16. But it's about lightness, right? It's about lightening up. And so start before you're ready. This is one of the things I always say in my workshops, is start before you're ready. And I just believe so much that we as women just keep holding ourselves back, and that we just need to really connect to our confidence, right? This is the one thing I've been hearing the most out of my trainings, is that people are getting the confidence to do it. And it's women supporting women and really, really finding our inner confidence. We're not born with confidence. We have to work on confidence, right? So who are you and what are you doing when you feel worthy? So just taking a moment to just take a breath into that. Who are you and what are you doing when you feel you're most worthy? And then the resistance is our unintelligent patterning, which is another way of saying limiting beliefs, right? Is that because if it doesn't feel good, if our thoughts aren't feeling good, they're not truth. They're not true, right? And we need to change them. And we get our limiting beliefs within a split second. Like, I don't know, we got them when we were 5 years old. Somebody did something to us and we made a decision, and that becomes our belief, right? And so we can change our limiting beliefs just as quickly, just like that as well. And so what are some of your unintelligent patterning, your limiting beliefs? Indecision, I already talked about that, right? Not knowing what to call our businesses, not knowing what to call ourselves, staying lost in confusion, right? And I was told one time that I have that luxury, right? Because like I have the luxury to be lost in confusion. It's because I did, right? You have a job and you don't have to leave it, right? You don't have to change, right? Even though you're not happy, you're miserable, but you can stay lost in that indecision. Overwhelm. Again, we get lost in overwhelm. And this just came up for me last week, and my coach addressed it. And it was that I was feeling like I had kind of lost my momentum, right? And so what I really needed to do was change a course that I was wanting to put energy into, but I wasn't. And so then I felt like I had lost my momentum, but it was really that overwhelm. Like I should put my energy into it. I should be doing this for it, but it wasn't the right program. I needed to pivot and change it. Right. And so overwhelm can show up in so many different ways. Right. And how do we overcome it? How do we look at it? Not enough time, right? When we feeling like we all have the same amount of time, and we all know that when there's something really important that we want to put our energy to, we have no problem doing it, right? Like we know we can get shit done when we need to. When we're busy, we can add more things in if it's important to us. What if I fail? This is another huge one, right? What if I fail? And is that even a truth? Like, is there ever really any failure? Is there really any failure, or are there just more lessons, right? I believe everything's for our spiritual growth. Doesn't mean everything's good, right? Doesn't mean my first marriage was good. It was part of my spiritual growth. It got me to where I needed to be for my next marriage and my family and my relationships. Not good enough, we talked about already. What if it doesn't work out? How am I going to get it all done? Comparing ourselves to others. This is a huge one that puts us into suffering. Comparing ourselves to others, feeling like we should be farther along, feeling like they're doing it better, feeling like they're doing it and I'm not, even though you actually are doing it. Resentment, loneliness, guilt, criticism. So just really checking into what keeps drawing you away from your vision, keeps drawing you away from your purpose. Just seeing. When our thoughts aren't feeling good, they're not truth. I like this. Yes. All right. So resistance. So to counter our resistance, what's happened in your life that makes you the perfect person to be doing what you're doing? That makes you the expert, right? We have all had so many experiences that makes us the perfect person, and we're all going to show up differently. I'm in my second class of teaching people to become intuitive coaches. Another 9 people are in this training. 9 the first time, so 18 people, but they're all going to do it differently. They're all going to find their niche, right? Because they have their own experiences that are going to make them the perfect person for being an intuitive coach for that person or for you or for, you know, whoever it is, whoever the client is. And what are some of your greatest accomplishments that remind you that you can have access to this new endeavor, right? Like, I know I'm going to accomplish certain goals because I accomplished so many other goals, right? And so reminding yourself of that. Right. So here's an example of here. The one on the left is my mom. The one on the right is my sister with me on different book launches, getting out my book. So, and then how do we take this into our business? It's different business strategies, right? Is so when we're connected to our intuition, then we're going to be able to have the clarity for the next steps. We're going to be able to keep getting, especially when we're in that feminine energy, right? When we're in that feminine energy, we can meditate, we can get the intuitive hit, we can not put pressure on ourselves because it kind of blocks the intuition. But when we stay in that feminine energy and go move with inspired action, then we'll take the next steps, and then we'll keep, by following our intuition, we'll be able to build our business. We're going to have the clear mindset. We're going to be able to keep growing and building our businesses. Okay, and so I'm just going to end with some of the things I am doing right now. As I said, I have the Intuitive Coaching Academy. We're in the second Intuitive Coaching Academy right now. The third group is going to be starting in March. But the second you signed up, you automatically get my online course, which is Lead with Intuition. So it's a way of starting to connect to your intuition and start building and developing your intuition even more. I'm also started this is the new one that came to me last week, which is Ignite. And it's an intuitive business training. So I was doing the Circle of Business Women. It's no longer, it's not going to be called the Circle of Business Women, because I had been running the Circle of Business for the last 5 years. Since the book came out, and it's for people who are waking up. So I think I'm going to keep the Circle of Women to start it in the spring. Again, another session of it. But right now I'm wanting more of a focus on women, heart-centered healing, intuitive women, energy healers who are wanting to really get their business going. So if you can't take the Intuitive Coaching Academy, this is a business training that will really get catapulting your business. Like I said, I was feeling this urgency in last November, and I just knew that I was here to support women into getting going, into building their businesses and getting out there and making some impact as well. Of course, I do private intuitive coaching sessions as well. So you can text me, or even I'm going to put this link right here in the comments, and you can book a clarity call with me to see and they're complimentary clarity call, just to see if there's any of the programs that are working with you, as well as in the session, I want to take some time to see what your vision is, how could I help you with your vision, but also even giving you some clarity on the next steps for your vision. And so why now? And as I said, I believe that right now with COVID and with the election a few weeks ago, and with all the wild things that are happening in the world, we are in a huge reset. And especially for intuitives, energy workers, us healers, empaths, that we're feeling this, and that we are the forefront leaders that are here to help the rest of the population to navigate this craziness, this uncertainty that we're going through. And I know that I'm here to support all the other healers to start making the impact and earn the income that they desire. This is exactly what we've been waiting for. It's there's no mistake that we really are the forefront leaders, and that this is and I believe that this is what we've been waiting for, and it's doing it in a different way than we expected it. The divine feminine rising, right? It's coming up in a whole different way. All right, so I'm just going to stop the share. All right, and then just take this opportunity. If anybody has any coaching questions, I'm done with with the class, but does anybody have any coaching questions? I'm actually going to stop the recording now.